Like a 6th year college student, sometimes it's best if you just move on. And that is how Wizards felt about 5 sets that were just sent packing from Standard and have moved on into Eternal formats. Let's talk about the 12 most expensive cards from those 5 sets and when I think is a good time to pick these cards up, if at all. Joel, our magic is brought to you by Card Conduit, the best place to sell your cards quickly and easily on the internet. TCG Player, the best place to buy them. Dragon Shield, the best way to protect them. And Moxfield, the only place to put your deck lists on the internet. Hey, if you're going to MagicCon Atlanta, I would love to see you there. I'll be there. I live in Georgia, so it's my neck of the woods, and I'll actually have a meet and greet 12:30 p.m. on Saturday. Hopefully you'll be able to come through and say, hey, get a signature or something, and then when you do, go to the back of the line and put on like a fake mustache and go through again, and then go back through with a hat and go back through again. That'd be great, thanks. We're going to do this countdown style from the 12th most expensive card to the most expensive card, but I've got 3 honorable mentions real quick that I want to hit, and that's Nahiri Forged in Fury, Timeless Lotus, and Urabrask, the March of the Machine Urabrask that's just Urabrask, like Nelly or Beyonce or Bono or Obama. All 3 of these cards were around the $15 mark a few months ago and have been pulling back. Now, I will say Nahiri Forged in Fury hasn't been there long. She actually just recently jumped up to the $15 mark, probably on the back of all the Cloud X Soldier equipment decks that started running around Final Fantasy time. But Urabrask, Timeless Lotus both have been above 15 and sort of slowly falling since we've been approaching rotation with Edge of Eternity's release. All 3 of these, if they're getting played, are getting played in Commander, and so if you're comfortable with this price, it's probably a good time to pick this up. There will be reprints of these 3 cards, like there will be reprints of all of the cards on this list, and we'll talk about the likelihood card to card of that once we get to the 12, but for these 3, know that the price is kind of gliding downward, and I would say especially whenever it reaches that like $10 mark, I'd be interested to see if Wizards just wants to keep these 3 cards around that $10 mark. All Will Be One has recently spiked as Edge of Eternities has happened from around $6 to upwards of like $14 now. It's like $13, $15 to get a copy of this. We just had a pre-con printed that had to do with putting counters on things, proliferating a lot, and red was in its colors, so it was natural that All Would Be One would get a bump from that. I wasn't expecting as much of a bump. All Will Be One is an enchantment that's forever going to be relevant. There are going to be counters decks. This doesn't just delineate or specify one specific type of counter. It will work on any types of counters. So any counter decks that have red in them, this card is always going to be relevant. That also makes it a good reprint target. Premium sets, decks, maybe secret layers. It's still in that this could be in a secret layer range of $12. In fact, it was in a secret layer earlier this year. So with All Will Be One specifically, I would say let's hold off right now. It is one of the most expensive cards from the sets that just rotated, but it doesn't seem to be operating in this exact moment as a card that has actually rotated because it just got shot off by a pre-con. You can see the chart before that. It was steadily falling before that pre-con shot it up. So with this one specifically, I would say hold off. Kylo Apogee Mind is the commander most recently that has spiked All Will Be One, but it is built very heavily into Voja, Jaws of the Conclave, Obnixilis, Captive Kingpin, Shalai, and Halar. Are you kidding me? Shalai and Halar, those counters dropping on or doing damage. You've got All Will Be One doing damage. It can absolutely go nuts. Number 11 on the list is Atali Primal Conqueror from March of the Machine. The 11th most expensive card from the cards that just rotated, but this one is also on an upward trend right now. Atali has been as high as $30 and as low as $5 before the power level really got fully discovered. And honestly, dinosaurs, when the Ixalan set came out, dinosaurs really shot this one off as well. It has fallen around like Foundations time last year down to like $11, currently sitting around 16. I actually don't really love the reprintability of Etali Primal Conqueror. This is a flip card, so just in and of itself, it needs some sort of special place to be printed. It can't just be dropped in any old set, premium set, reprint set, whatever, that is not also featuring flip cards. It's a little less likely for that. It's also a legend from a very specific plane, from a very specific event, and so that also makes it feel a little less reprintable. And so it's almost like people are wondering, now that it's not in standard, the sets aren't going to be printed, you're not going to be able to get March of the Machine boosters as readily, potentially. So could we see this card's price go up because maybe it dodges a reprint because it's harder to reprint? It's an interesting one. We know it's a strong commander. It's been played in CEDH. It's very, very powerful at casual tables. And so for me, this is a wait and see. 16 bucks, around 17 bucks on your market price right now. Not that expensive. Most people are going to be grabbing this to play as like their commander anyway. And so if you want the commander, you're probably going to be willing to spend like 10 to 20 bucks to pick up a copy of it. But if you're just trying to get this for your dinosaur deck at its cheapest, I personally would wait for a reprint, though it could be a while, or just buy it for 17 bucks. Obviously, you can play Etali Primal Conqueror as your commander. That's where most people have it. But Pantlaza, Sun Favored, Gishath, Sun's Avatar, even Atlapalani, Nest Tendered, dinosaur decks, right? That's where this one lives a lot. But I also see it in Henzi Toolbox Torres lists quite often, Maelstrom Wanderer lists, Cascade stuff, anything that's going to be getting us free stuff on top of our free stuff, giving this stuff haste, we can attack, go absolutely insane. Next on the list is Jin Gataxius. Again, just Jin Gataxius from March of the Machine. This one's around $14, and it's moving opposite of what you would expect as well. There is a small number of this list where the cards are moving the opposite direction as we've gotten to rotation, because I think people are specking on them, just like with Etali. Jin Gataxius is a flip card specifically tied to a plane, to a faction at the very least, and so you would need a specific place to reprint this, much the same as the Etali that we were talking about. About 14 bucks right now. Your all-time low on this card's like $4.20. Your all-time high is like 30 though. So right now it's half of what it was initially when it came out. Quickly crashed, very quickly crashed as soon as it came out, but it is on an upward trend. As we've gotten to Edge, it has started to very slightly fall off, and so a good candidate for wait and see. I would put this one in the same category as Etali Primal Conqueror right now. If you don't really need a copy, just wait. Jin Gataxius pops up a lot in Tom Bombadil decks because it does flip into a saga called the Great Synthesis, and so you're able to play with the synergies of that commander for the same reason you see it in Atraxa Praetor's Voice decks. You're putting counters on things, you're proliferating. It's popping up in that a lot. Most recently, it's really been showing up in Y'shtola Knight's Blessed decks, which makes sense. You're trying to cast spells that are mana value 3 or greater in Y'shtola Knight's Blessed, and Jin Gataxius also loves to see that. Number 9 is Sulfam, Mayhem Dominus, and we're finally to cards that have been falling. Since about last October, Sulfam has been steadily declining, leveling out around 14 bucks here at Edge of Eternity's release. I have the feeling that this one, major commander player here, has the potential for reprint higher than the cards that we've looked at so far. It doesn't have to flip, is kind of like primary on this. The Frixia All Will Be One mythic isn't a flip mythic, it just puts a counter on it, but it does have a lot of relevancy. Sources you control, dealing non-combat damage to opponents or any of their permanents, not just creatures, deals double. That's always going to be a relevant sort of archetype supported mechanic need in commander decks, and so this is the type of card that commander players are very much going to want going forward. Depending on the reprintability, it's just a legend. It doesn't have to flip. It could pop up really anywhere we get another Phyrexian sort of like incursion into like a Modern Horizons set, something like that, where that's the major theme, like Modern Horizons 3 was Eldrazi. I'm sure in a set or two we'll get a Phyrexian one, and that's that's where we'll see stuff like this reprinted in a major way, hopefully. Maybe Secret Lair, potentially. We're still in that range, $15. It could lead a Secret Lair. But going from over 20 at the end of last year to around 15 right now, 14, 15 bucks, it is in descent and a good one to watch to grab for your commander decks. If you're not sure where you would put a Sulfam Mayhem Dominus, do you have a Valgavoth Harrower of Souls deck? Do you run Nekuzar as your commander? Either of those doing the damage, having that non-combat damage doubled. Beautiful. Sulfam also able to put that indestructible counter on itself and survive to help you in commanders like Emmadane if you want to stay in mono red, or Judith, Carnage Connoisseur. All your instants and sorceries gaining Death Touch and Lifelink. The imps dealing damage when they die. Either way you play Judith, Sulfam is there to help you. Awaken the Woods, the mythic from Brothers War, has been way cheaper. This card has gotten down to around $9 before, but the strength of this card continuously proves itself, and ever since about the beginning of 2024, this card has just been in an uptrend. I don't think it was really impactful in the formats that it was living in, but in Commander, it's a super sick card, and so when you look at this one, you're seeing a Commander card act like a Commander card. From about March, when it hit an all-time high of about 17 bucks for this period, the all-time high of the pre-order price was insane. It was well over 20 bucks at this, but recently it's been as high as like $18, $19, and it has fallen off as we've gotten toward Edge of Eternities, but has ticked back up. It seems like 15 bucks is really what the market wants to pay for this card, and so it might just hold at that simply because it's only moving off of the back of Commander. Standard is not touching this card. It's not making this card's price go down, and so with this one, it's got a lot of the same clues. It's more easily reprintable, I will say, than some of the ones that we've seen, and it's at 15, 16 bucks until it really gets to $20. It's in a good Secret Lair range where you could just see it headline any old Secret Lair. Once you start getting up into that $20, $30 range, you're like, okay, this is like really a set that they're trying to push. They don't often drop a card in there that's worth that much. So this is one I would just personally wait on unless you can stomach 16 bucks for a mythic. Awaken the Woods is strong and will fit into a lot of different archetypes. Awaken the Woods is most often played in decks like Omnath, Locus of Creation. Each of these are forest land creatures, and so landfall decks are absolutely going to salivate over a card like this because you can trigger it as much as you can pump mana into X. Speaking of X, Zaxara the Exemplary and Magus Lucia Kane absolutely building this into their 99 constantly. Thousands of those lists have Awaken the Woods in them. But then also the other end of the spectrum, you're creating tokens, and so decks like Chatterfang Squirrel General or Balin the Haymaker, they just care that you have an X spell creating tokens that they can put to work and have other uses for. Sheoldred, just Sheoldred, not the only Sheoldred on the list, but the Sheoldred we're going to talk about right now. She's about 16 bucks and has been in, I'll say, a slow descent from the beginning of 2024. It was just over $20 and it has been kind of gliding down, recently reaching is, like 14, 15 bucks, but kind of sliding back up as we've gotten closer to Edge of Eternities. This card's great in Commander. A lot of people play this in Commander. I see this in a ton of lists. It's good in Reanimator decks, creature decks. Doesn't really matter. Shows up a lot in Tom Bombadil, just like Jin Gataxius. Anything where it's a saga, obviously going to pop up, but Tergrid, God of Fright decks, this one makes them sacrifice a non-token creature or planeswalker. So Tergrid's like, yeah, I'm in. Let's do it. And totally wants this in the 99. Brimaz, Blight of Oreskos and Atraxa decks. Very Phyrexian themed. Maybe it's like a Kindred Phyrexian theme that they're going for there. But even decks like Marin of Clan Neltoth, like I said, being able to reanimate this kind of target, it enters and is destroying stuff. It's flipping, destroying more stuff, and then you can eventually return all stuff if you can get the true scriptures to fully pop off. It's just a dope commander card that has a lot of play, and I'm not sure of the reprintability. It's not strong at the very least. I know that. I don't have a lot of confidence that this one will get reprinted often, if, anytime soon. And so it's kind of like a wait on it, or, we'll see in 3 or 4 or 5 years if we go back to the Phyrexian creature type in some sort of special promotional set. I don't know. Number 6 on the list is Nissa Resurgent Animist. Y'all, this card is so sick. This card acts like a Lotus Cobra that is better. A Lotus Cobra with upside. And if you've ever played a landfall deck, you know that Lotus Cobra and, since March of the Machine, the Aftermath, Nissa Resurgent Animist, once those are on the battlefield, you're popping off. That is how you go infinite in those decks, is get one of these two or both on the battlefield, so that every time you're doing the landfall thing, you're adding more mana so you can go get more land, so you can do more landfall, so you can add more mana, and so on and so forth. This card is cracked. It has been falling since about April of last year. It got up to around $30 and has been sliding down the charts. Right now it's around 16, 17 bucks. Nissa's got higher reprintability. It's a fan favorite character. It doesn't flip. It doesn't even particularly do anything super crazy special. The landfall ability, going and getting elves, this one's got high reprintability as far as I'm concerned, and so I personally wouldn't be purchasing it at this price, even though it has been falling. To play devil's advocate to myself, it is a mythic from a weird low print set, and so it's like, where will we see Nissa pop up? Where would we see a little bit higher power level elf pop up? It's not going to be in standard, we know that at the very least, and so we'll monitor this one. But at around 16 to 17 bucks, even though the price has been dipping, I would wait on this one, just because at some point it's got to get reprinted. We're starting to get out of that secret layer reprint range that I think is so relevant to when you're analyzing cards to acknowledge. Ellishnorn, Mother of Machines, is about 20 bucks right now. Has been falling though. Since Tarkir Dragonstorm, she was up around 30 bucks, $28. Has fallen down to about $18, $19 to grab a copy. I actually like this pickup right now. I think that this one, like the other Phyrexians, it's gonna be a while before we see them again. This is a mythic with a very strong effect. All we really need is some commander printed in a precon in the next year or two that says, whenever this happens, whenever this enters the battlefield, do this. And if you have a Praetor in your deck, shake hands with Mark Rosewater himself, and he pops up. Like, this card could potentially get sent by so many different factors of commanders being printed in precons that under $20, I actually like this card right now, because I think that if we were to ever see this one again, it's going to be a few years, and that's going to be a premium set, and it's going to have a crazy parfait, and yeah, I think it's a good pickup right now. For example, a card like Atraxa Grand Unifier, the main place that Ellishnorn, Mother of Machines, is played. The commander says when it enters the battlefield, do this crazy thing. Ellishnorn lets you do that twice while also shutting off your opponent's ability to do it at all. Omnath, Locus of Creation, we've talked about it once in this video, but Ellishnorn also highly played in Omnath, Locus of Creation decks. Permanent, that counts lands. That enters the battlefield. Omnath gets double triggers if Mommy is around. Cards like Brago, where the whole deck is around blinking things and ETBs of permanents, doubling up on them, insane. Decks like Necrobloom, more landfall decks. These are the types of decks you can see how easily a landfall deck or a great enters the battlefield ability, or even a commander that's some kind of kindred thing that's a Panharmonicon type-ish effect like Ellishnorn is. Then you're doubling down on that type of effect by wanting the Mother of Machines in the deck. My point is, I like this card under 20, and really anything could send this into the 30 or 40 range. It has been there before. Its all-time high is $80. Myrell, Shield of Argiv from the Brothers' War. It's a mythic that has actually been going the opposite direction. It's number 4 on the list, but in January, this card was about $18, $19, and now it's $21. It's on the rise right now. Having your opponent's ability to cast spells or activate abilities of stuff on your turn turned off completely is very strong. Commander players are building this. When it attacks, you're creating X11s where X is the number of soldiers you control. This has got relevancy in a lot of different places. Ishin to Heavens is one, doubling your attack triggers. Myrell giving you extra counters as a result of that. Extra tokens, I should say, as a result of that. Caesar, Legion's Emperor, wants creature tokens on the battlefield, creates soldiers itself. Myrell goes perfectly in the 99. Winota, Joiner of Forces, or Jetmir, Nexus of Revels, that want attacking bodies on the battlefield as much as possible. This one's got a lot of relevancy in Commander playability, y'all, and the price shows that. It has only been climbing. It's been as high as $30 before. It is only 21 right now, so take that for what you will in context of itself and its own price history. But this one to me feels like, besides it being a legend that, I don't know the lore of this, is probably dead because Brothers War happened in the past. It was like a flashback set to my knowledge, or time travel set or something. But Myrell, lore-wise, I don't know if we can just throw her in another standard set, but could pop up more easily than some of these flip cards could in various reprint spots. Now, I do think that this one's a little out of Secret Lair range at this point. I don't think any of the last card we talked about, or the next three we'll talk about after this, are really high potential for Secret Lair reprints. But premium sets, some sort of Chaos Layer, premium Secret Layer thing, it wants to push that, or maybe even like one of those Commander decks, you know, where the price tag is over 3 digits, they would be comfortable dropping it there, maybe even with new art. But for me, Myrell is one where it's growing, so if you know you need this effect, it's strong. I would try and trade or find one now, because this card's gonna rise until it gets reprinted. Portal to Frixia is number 3 on the list, and the primary pickup target from this video, if you just wanted me to boil it down to one card, this card in March was $30, and right now it's $23. A few days ago, like a week or two ago, it was $20, and that's just such a good pickup price. This is another one. The applicability, the playability here is not off the charts, but it's really strong. This is such a good finisher for a bunch of different type of archetypes in Commander. Anything that's ramping can play this. Anything that can cheat out artifacts or give you affinity and reduce the cost of your artifacts. Those types of decks are plentiful. I bet you can think of one you have, or one that's played frequently in your pod. And this is the type of card that finishes that deck off. That's how you win with a deck like this. It has slowly risen since the beginning of last year from 20 up to 30. It dropped with rotation down to around $21, and now it's on the climb again. I would go grab a copy of Portal to Frixia. Personally, this again is in that same reprintability scale as the non-flip Phyrexian stuff, where you're like, next time we go there, probably, but it's good. They just got wiped out, so it's going to have to be a return arc, or it's going to have to be like a flashback, you know, kind of homage thing, like Modern Horizons 3 was with Eldrazi, and that's where I think we'll see a bunch of cards like this next, and who knows how long that's going to be. Commanders like Zuladoc Void Gorger love Portal to Frixia. It's a colorless spell. Also, Magda, Brazen Outlaw players, very familiar with Portal to Frixia because you can cheat it onto the battlefield by just sacrificing 5 treasures. Kona, Rescue Beastie. At the beginning of your second main phase, if Kona's tapped, you can put a permanent card from your hand right onto the battlefield. Again, cheating it out. This is always going to be, until I guess power creep takes over in 15 years and makes this 9-mana artifact irrelevant. This is always going to be a good finisher for decks that are able to cheat it out, and the ability to cheat it out is wider than you would think. Mondrak Glory Dominus in 2023 was a $22 card. Right now, it's a $33 card, but it has been a $60 card at various points in its history, most recently at a high of like $43, $41 to $43. Mondrak Glory Dominus creates twice that many tokens when tokens are created under your control, and that's always going to be relevant. I like the dip on Mondrak Mondrak right now. It was $42 in May. Now it's like $33. It dipped down to like 32 lowest and has sort of recovered and is like bouncing off that $32, $33 line. I like the Mondrak pickup right now. If you missed Frixia will be one, didn't get a copy. Same exact reasoning, Portal Frixia, any of the non-flip Phyrexian cards. I think it's going to be a while before we see these. We're out of Secret Lair range, so it couldn't just like pop up whenever, in my opinion. And so I like the Mondrak grab specifically right now if you are a tokens creator. And look, this is any tokens, y'all. Mondrak is great. It can be your commander, but it pops up in Balin the Haymaker, Mr. House, President and CEO, Caesar, Legion's Emperor, Bernard, Ginger Sculptor. Any deck that's creating tokens of any kind will be able to find a home for Glory Dominus. And being able to put that indestructible counter on these horrors, on these Dominus creatures, love that. And then finally, the number one on the list and the prime discussion of the rotation of these 5 sets is Sheoldred the Apocalypse. Sheoldred in December of last year was a $90 card. Right now, it is a $62 card. This card is going to be relevant, just like the last few cards that we've talked about, forever. There's not really a budget replacement for this effect. If you want this effect, you want this card. Since it has fallen so heavily, market price from 95 this year to all the way down to 62 right this moment as we're making this video, I don't mind the pickup. This is one that they will use to push a set. This is not only like in that exact same category of non-flip Phyrexian stuff that I think will take a while for us to see again, but this one in particular will have to be specially placed to push a set. Oh my God, we're getting Sheoldred the Apocalypse reprinted. That's the reaction they want when we see this card again. So I think it's going to be a second. Those are the 12 most expensive cards from the 5 sets that just rotated, and whether I think they're good pickups or not, let me know down in the comments any other good pickups you think that are happening right now as the sets are rotating out with Edge of Eternities coming in. I'd love to talk to you about them down in the comments. If you got any value out of the video or you just enjoyed it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't done that. Other than that, I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!